Hey everyone, Pupsker here, and today in Ball X Pit, I wanted to talk about the 4 secret evolution balls in the game. What these are some of the strongest balls in the game. They either require an evolution plus a regular ball, or 2 or even more evolved balls. The first one we're going to take a look at is Satan. This is the succubus plus the incubus evolved together to make Satan, which is technically the vampire and charm ball combined with the dark and charm ball into 2 balls combined into Satan. While active, add 1 stack of burn to all active enemies per second, max 5 stacks, dealing 28 to 56 damage per stack per second, and make them go berserk, dealing 42 to 67 damage to adjacent enemies every second. So here is the Satan ball in action. It's actually incredibly good. As you can see, all of the general characters, enemies on screen are lighting up on fire, taking hundreds of damage per second once they actually get fully lit up, like 230, 145, 255. So the Satan fire does essentially light everybody on the map on fire because it just spreads out so easily, and then does insane amounts of high damage going forward. Huge fan of the Satan ball, to be honest, because I'm always kind of a fan of the fire DPS balls, and with that, it both sends the enemies into a berserk state and lights them on fire, so I think like just they take so much damage. And since this is a lower ranked map, it's really not that hard to blast through it, since I am fully unlocked into New Game Plus right now. But that's like the big advantage you have when you actually gain the fireball. You're able to light everyone on fire. And as you can see, Satan essentially berserks every enemy and lights them all on fire in mere seconds. And it even lights the boss on fire pretty well. The issue is I actually have to hit the boss, not completely miss the boss, so hey, it is what it is. And then, as you see, once I actually start getting into the fight a little bit, the DPS on the fire is decent enough, but it's not like that's going to be the main damage. You just do overall good damage, and I would say Satan is probably best for overall mobbing. It's not like the best single target boss ball, but it still does good output as a general ball. And whenever you hit the boss, it'll light up all of the little enemy minions there. So yeah, that is the Satan ball. Let me know what you think. And as always, if you want to support the channel, subscribe, like, and you can always use Epic Games creator code Pupsker if you ever buy anything. But there are 4 secret evolution balls. So the next one we're going to go over is, I think, technically the hardest one to get, Nosferatu. So everybody, this is the Nosferatu ball. It is the Mosquito King plus the Spider Queen plus the Vampire Lord ball, which is, I know, such an insane amount of balls that you have to get together. You have to get Vampire, you have to get like the little Brood Mother ball, you have to get all of that, and it's not easy, okay? For Vampire Lord specifically, you need to get Bleed and Vampire together, which is not the easiest to get together, but it can also be like Vampire and some other stuff. But just for simplicity's sake, you can do Bleed and Vampire, Dark and Vampire, so that's not too terrible. You have a couple options there. But with the Mosquito King and the Spider Queen, it's a little harder. For Spider Queen, you have to get the Egg Sac and Brood Mother, and that can take a little bit of time to get. But for the Mosquito King, it's also very similar because you have to get the Vampire and Brood Mother, so it can take a little bit, but that's how you get Nosferatu. The abilities on Nosferatu is also pretty good overall. It reads as spawn a vampire bat each bounce, bats fly towards random enemies, and hit for damage and turn into a vampire lord. So what you're going to be seeing is once it procs more, there you go. That's how it hits hard. The red little vampire ball just start hitting everyone around there, and once it starts properly multiplying, oh my god, it does so much damage. And as you can see, once you get those multiplied hits in, if you get it stuck in a spot where it can multiply spawn a ton of those balls, you get so much damage going out right now. Like, look at the insane amount of balls being shot out on the map. I just couldn't decide what to pick there, right? And you know that a lot of those red balls did a lot of the initial DPS. This is just a goofy build that I have going. It's really hard to get Nosferatu because it requires 3 fully evolved balls to evolve into 1 ball, right? So that's essentially 6 tier 1 balls to make 1 evolved super ball. And this is without a doubt probably the hardest and one of the strongest balls to get in the game, because once you get it stuck in a spot where it just spawns a bunch of the Vampire Lord balls, your DPS goes through the roof and you're able to hit a ton of enemies all at once. The issue is, like, this is just such a shit show. My balls were flying all over the place at such a fast rate. And this boss, in general, is just kind of a pain in the butt. But as you can see, a lot of tiny DPS, a lot of DPS balls, and the Nosferatu Ball definitely spawning a little bit of the red bat balls, Vampire Lord balls here and there. So I would say this is a successfully really strong secret ball. It's just really hard to pull off. So if you're going through and going for the achievements for the encyclopedia, just make sure you choose some of the characters that use those weapons, right? So you can initially make like the Vampire Lord, Mosquito King, Spider Queen ball, and then just go from there. But pure RNG, either way, hope it helps. On to the next ball. The next ball we have here is the Nuclear Bomb. Poison plus bomb. Bomb is burn plus iron, in case you were wondering. This one essentially just explodes and deals AoE radiation, right? Deals 600 to 1,000 damage, apply 1 stack of radiation to everyone who is present indefinitely, and it has a respawn timer because it explodes, right? So you can't just shoot it out constantly. But radiation just makes it so that enemies receive more damage, which does make this ball a really good bossing and a really good general DPS ball. The general setup I had with this was the character that shoots the ball back and forth constantly, and I was also trying to farm and go for the black hole ball here, which I did eventually get successfully. So yeah, you can see in 1 second, when the ball shoots out, it does a large AoE explosion, and I think the reason it just takes so long here is because, there we go. I just needed to collect all my balls back, but when the nuclear bomb actually shoots off, it just does that little explosion mushroom cloud, you saw it there, and it does good AoE and radiation. It's a very simple ball, but it is essentially an explosive AoE ball. So if you don't want that, I understand. But again, it's a really strong ball, so you might want to consider picking it up. The best part probably technically about it is the fact that it applies radiation, which is up to 5 stacks, 10% damage increase, right? With that, it means that you'll be able to do a lot more damage to any of the bosses. So if you're having a hard time killing any of the certain bosses in this game, maybe think about building the nuclear bomb, because it's just straight up, if you get all the procs off, a 50% damage increase against whichever boss you're fighting at the time. So think about maybe doing that. It is strong, and it is also good at hitting AoE and a lot of enemies because of its AoE kind of radius, right? So no matter what, it's not the best mobber because it shoots out slowly, but it is still a good enough mobbing ball. So it is truly a good ball for a jack of all trades situation. The effect on it does a lot of damage, so if you're using one of the characters that does more of like effect status damage, that should work properly on that as well. So honestly, you can't go wrong with any of these balls. But let's go to the final ball now. Now everybody, for the final ball, the black hole. This is the sun, which is burn and light evolved together. So the sun plus dark equals black hole. Instantly kills the first non-boss enemy that it hits, but destroys itself afterwards, has a 7-second cooldown before it can be shot again. So as you can see there, it just did 1700 damage because the goddamn black hole is an instant kill. All it's used for is one-shotting random enemies, so if you need to play strategically, it is just a great ball no matter what. It has a long cooldown that I think is like 5 seconds at maxed rank, so it's a free kill every 5 seconds. Might be less of a good ball if you're really onto like one of the fast plus missions, But if you're fighting missions normally, since it just kills enemies, it's really strong if you try to aim it at one of the high health enemies. So one of the big enemies up there with 3 stacks, if you hit one of the enemies there, it's probably the ideal target for the black hole, because it'll just take them out much quicker than it would anything else. So if you're thinking of using or picking up the black hole, maybe think about that. It still does good damage against bosses. It's just, it doesn't one-shot kill bosses. It just does like a good chunk of damage against bosses. So that's like the current loadout that I ended up with. Both nuclear bomb and my black hole kind of made it so that the boss was honestly kind of easy. I'm not really mad about that. But once you start stacking up and getting a lot of those evolved balls together, dear God, your damage, your DPS starts going through the roof, especially if you have the freaking nuclear bomb plus Nosferatu plus Satan combo, because you light everyone on fire, you do huge amount of increased damage, and you just bounce everything through the enemy, and with the radiation increased damage too. Ooh, this boss is so easy with this sort of combo and like the bounce back guy. Look at that. I'm shooting the little black hole at him. I'm trying to see how much damage it does because it's kind of hard to check. There we go. I think it just did 1700 damage against the boss. So no matter how you look at it, the black hole is still a pretty good ball. And with this sort of character and setup, I'm just able to shoot the balls back and forth, do a lot of damage, just did like 2,000 damage there with the black hole, and then kill off the boss. So all in all, I love this game, and I would recommend everyone try out all of the super special, best evolved balls in the game. So let me know what you think about any of them. If you got the achievements, because there are achievements with getting all the balls and these specific balls, let me know. And as always, if you want to support the channel, sub, like. You can use Epic Games creator code Pupsker, but if you ever check out any other videos, like them, comment down below. It always helps out. So thank you all so much, and I will see you next time. Cheers.